Grill. And we are live. Hey there, artist. Thanks for checking in. Okay, nice. You're from Europe. And artist, how did you find the NarcDojo channel? I love your information. Good, good. I'm happy that the information is helping. Let me switch. And yeah, good. The audio tracking is a feature that YouTube kind of released maybe 3 months ago or so. So it allows us to, well, it does it automatically, but that's how you can listen to the videos in German and Spanish and the other languages. Hey there, Maggie from Houston, Texas, in the building. Good morning. And for everybody that is here so far, can y'all comment in the chat and let me know where you are coming in from? Good, good. I'm happy the audio tracking is helping. It's a very, very, very useful feature that YouTube came out with. And with time, YouTube should be improving that feature and adding other languages as they grow. Yes, yeah. If you see narcissists everywhere, it is because they are everywhere. It's just more so that now we are more aware of exactly who they are. And that is because the veil has been lifted, at least for those that can see. You still have other people that are asleep. Yeah, but narcissists are everywhere. You're in your schools, you go to the doctor's office, they're there. You go to the gas station, they're there. You go to the supermarkets. They live amongst us. And that's what we're going to be talking about in today's live. And shout outs to Beauty and Pablo for checking in. And good morning, Kenneth Banks. Thanks for stopping in today. So it's after 11 a.m. EST. Should be, 8 a.m. PST and so on. Yeah, as you become more aware, you will be able to detect other people's intentions. And, if you're already detecting negative intention, it's best to stay away from those kind of people. Yeah, awakening is oftentimes a very painful thing because, we're growing up around these people, especially family members, right? So we're growing up around these family members, and you love them, but then eventually you'll see where oftentimes they are incapable of love, because eventually you know that you're gonna be in another abusive, toxic situation with them. So going no contact is there to help you. It's there to get you to get into a space to revive your energy. Because if you're dealing with a lot of toxic people, they're energy vampires, and they're eventually going to drain your energy. So pain. Pain is a part of the experience here on earth. Um, so it's a part of our destiny, but what it is that we have to alchemize pain into our purpose. So you don't want to stay in pain for too long, because if you stay in pain for too long, that's trauma. But you have to learn how to, get the, understand the trauma that you went through and alchemize that to step into your purpose. Because otherwise, that trauma will break you. And Kenneth writes, I found out my narcissist of 30 years was going to these events. It blew my mind and my nervous system was shot. What events are those, Kenneth? I don't think I see the. I don't see. I don't. What events was the narcissist going to? And artist writes, I've been no contact for 4 years, and I see the black eyes, and I've been in isolation in my apartment. Yeah. So yeah, that definitely can happen, and isolation is a part of the healing process. So take as much time as you need to revive yourself, and again, just to be aware of the attack or attacks that you went through. But know that you are stronger than any narcissist, sociopathic people. Again, these toxic personalities that are trying to drain your light. And we're going to talk about that in today's session. Because once you are aware, then you can learn how to master your energy so that they don't siphon your energy and drain you. Zoom in here a little bit. All right, let's see. And for the new people that are just coming into the live, please give this live a like. And if you haven't already, let me know in the comment section where you are checking in from. Yeah, so Beauty and Pablo writes, my whole life's problem, my whole life is a problem, and I'm in a permanent shock when someone says or does something. I block myself naturally. So as you continue to work through, narcissistic abuse, complex post-traumatic stress, all of these different symptoms and so on, what normally happens is you should be rebuilding your boundaries so you know how to protect yourself. So it's normal to feel shocked, or to be frozen, but eventually, as you work through that trauma, you will step more into your power. So, and when it comes to these toxic personalities, again, you really don't need to justify or argue with them, but you do need to understand how to stand your ground. That's really the main thing. How to stand your ground. Nice, nice. Shout outs to Joy Morgan, coming in from North Carolina, and then T Lovechild coming in from South Carolina. Nice. So North Carolina and South Carolina in the building. And narcissism. So your name is narcissism. So narcissism. Shout outs to narcissism from Delaware by way of Philly. So welcome to the live. And I think this is our fourth live. So again, always check the channel, ensure that you are subscribed to see when the next live is gonna come in. I'll probably do like a weekend live on a Saturday and some during the week. So stay tuned to the channel to see when the other ones are coming up. And shout outs to Tila stepping in. All right, so we're gonna get started with today's live. As people start to come in, more people normally come into these lives kind of like when we're in the middle. But know that what we're talking about today is how to be aware so that you learn how to fight spiritual attacks like a pro. All right. And when I'm talking about spiritual attacks here, again, narcissists, sociopathic people, psychopathic people, abusers, toxic people, manipulators, use any language that makes sense for you. So it's learning how to fight, these spiritual attacks by these energy vampires. It's when you truly understand that that is how you can move through life with much more grace, because not only do you have your physical eyes, you also have your spiritual eyes. And we're going to be diving into that in today's live. Let me bring that slide up. Where's that slide? And let's see. So Joy Marie writes, do you believe they take pieces of our light body that we can reclaim with energy work? So the answer to that would be yes. So narcissistic abuse, which is spiritual warfare, is the narcissist siphoning your light, and you are a light being. You are a light body. You are the light, right? It's you, the energy that is creating everything in your life. And when you're dealing with a vampire, you're dealing with an energy vampire in the truest sense of that word, then they're going to drain your light. And this is why you feel like you lose yourself in these entanglements, right? This is why you experience a loss of a sense of self. You experience anxiety, all of these different symptoms, and you're going through these different symptoms because CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, is the aftermath of narcissistic abuse, right? That is what happens when somebody is siphoning your energy. So, you'll be anxious, you experience that loss of a sense of self. That is you losing your light body. It's you, right? You're losing pieces of you. And again, it's all because we were pouring all of our energy into a black hole. Narcissists are black holes. It's a walking void. And when we pour our energies into voids, then we lose ourselves and we become drained. But with proper boundaries and with awareness, then we can, shift this around to standing truly in our power. So know that, recovery again from narcissistic abuse is absolutely possible. However, it's important that you actually address the trauma. So you will see where oftentimes, you're going to have to delve in childhood trauma recovery, or childhood, addressing your inner child wounds to get through this abuse. And again, the first step in all of this is awareness. It's being aware that these toxic personalities are around you, and there are a lot of them. And what it really is that you're dealing with a lot of people that are trapped in their lower ego. And if they're trapped in their lower ego, then they're going to be competing with you. Always going to be a back and forth. You're always going to be fighting with them. Let me see where I am. And shout outs to Royal Minds checking in. Welcome. And T Lovechild writes, do they know they are taking people's energies? Does the narcissist know they are taking people's energy? For that is yes. So do narcissists know what they're doing? Yes, they know what they're doing, even though they may not know the whys behind their behavior. But do they know that they're lying to you? Yes, they do know that they're lying to you. Do they know that they're cheating on you? Yes, they know that they're cheating on you. Do they know that they're gaslighting you? Yes, they know that they're gaslighting you. And this would be very similar, y'all, to an alcoholic. Let's say somebody is an alcoholic. So does the alcoholic know that they shouldn't be drinking so much? Sure, they know. Doesn't mean that they can stop their behavior, because that is the pathology. That is the disorder. So narcissists do know that they're siphoning your energy, because they've been siphoning other people's energies also before you. They know that eventually people are left drained and lethargic around them, but what it is that they're going to blame shift and blame that off onto other people and run off into the wind to drain somebody else. And that is the pathology. That's the pathology. Just an energy vampire. And Joy Marie writes, how do you feel about return to sender spells? I don't do spells, but I listen to certain frequencies. Okay, return to sender spells. So return to sender spells are perfectly normal, because that's a boomerang. And what it is does you're sending whatever energy somebody sent to you right back to them. So if somebody is sending you, negativity and all this hate and disdain, that's perfectly normal to send that right back to them. And it's kind of like, somebody throws a punch and you dodge, or you dodge and then you throw another punch. But that is how you can protect yourself. So, for example, let's say you're going to bed, you could do a quick prayer, and it's just, for any negative energy that is sent my way, send it back to the sender. And you could send it back to the sender fivefold, tenfold, 100-fold. Because all it is again is you're sending back what was not meant for you. Just like if you go to a restaurant and they brought you food that you didn't order, send it back because it's not yours. And that is one way that you can fight spiritual attacks, or more lower level spiritual attacks more. So send it back to the sender. And the artist writes, many people cannot understand the horror. I've seen the black eyes and the empty eyes that had no reflection. And I've seen the entity in the narc's eyes. Yep. And that is because, again, people, it is spiritual warfare. And if you're able to see the entity, it means that you're able to see behind the physical veil into the spiritual realm. And that is how you're able then to protect yourself, because, again, the person could be smiling in the physical, but in the non physical or in the spiritual, you know that you're dealing with an evil spirit. And that is why you have to cut your energy, because they're feeding on your light, they're feeding on you. You are the light because you are the energy source. And when you can learn to thwart these different manipulation tactics, again, you'll move through life with so much more ease and grace. And shout outs to Lily A. And Lily A writes, I'm dealing with that, with the demon that lives next door. Oh, yes. Narcissist neighbors, toxic, dysfunctional neighbors that like to torment people. Well, a lot of people are dealing with the narcissist neighbors. And similarly, you have to either gray rock, because again, sometimes you have to talk to these people, sure. But what it is that you have to neutralize your energy. Do not feed the birds, do not feed the bears, do not feed the animals. And that is you standing in your frame, because again, vampires cannot step into the light. It is you that have to maintain your frame, again, which is the fourth dimension or higher. Because what it is that they're trying to drag you down into the hellish realm where they reside. That's the goal of these toxic personality types. And Beauty and Pablo writes, I had a ex-psycho narc and their face totally shifted during normal conversations as if it's a totally different person. And he sees demons in dreams and in reality. And I saw one black sparkling eye. It's probably those shark eyes, right? And what you're seeing or what you're witnessing when they're shifting is those different personalities that they are possessed with. Yeah, if you're new to the channel or if you're new to these lives, I've said it in so many different videos on the channel that if you're dealing with a pathological narcissist, you're dealing with someone that is possessed. So if you're dealing with someone that is possessed, then what you will see is that they will glitch. And when they glitch, the things or the people, or more so the creatures that you see, are the different spirits that are inhabiting them. That is what you're dealing with, or that is what you're seeing, or that is what the narcissist is seeing. Or for some of you that are having dreams because you are seers, what you're seeing in the dream, if you're seeing shadow figures or if you're seeing strange creatures, that's the entity or entities, plural. I don't know what exactly, or to what degree you're dealing with, but know that the more possessed a pathological narcissist is, the more demonic activity you will see. All right, so the more possessed they are, the more demonic activity. And Robert Hamilton writes, dark triads love sin. And it's just dark triads are stuck in darkness. They're stuck in darkness. They're at the bottom of the consciousness ladder. The default there is sin, which is a discretion against ourselves or other people. And Beauty and Pablo writes that the narcissist said that every woman has to remember him. Yeah, because again, it's an energy vampire. And also narcissists are grandiose and they have wishful thinking, like extreme wishful thinking. So they believe that they are special. So they're special snowflakes. And they believe they are the greatest thing on earth. Again, that is that dysfunctional pride. They're based in shame, cannot move past their pride. And that's that grandiosity. You're dealing with a grandiose individual, but oftentimes they start off covertly, but eventually you will see that you're dealing with a grandiose, egotistical personality type that wants to step on you and push you down because they are adult bullies. Very, very good example there, T Love Child. So T Love Child writes, I didn't see the black eyes. What I saw was the face morph into an evil grimace. It looked very much like Scar from The Lion King, and my blood ran cold. And that's the spirit. That's the entity. And oftentimes on the channel, I use the character from the movie called Truth or Dare, where they have that Grinch like grin. But again, it's the entity. And when you see these entity or entities, that is why your blood runs cold because you're not dealing with anything that is human because demons lack humanity. So naturally, your body knows that something is off and you're dealing with a predator. So that is what that is how these entities operate. They hunt and they hunt light. And again, you are the light. You are the light source. Demons feed on chi, and you are the chi. And let me try and find. I'm gonna try to find a old thumbnail where I did with that Grinch grin that you will see with these narcissists. And again, this is really Duper's Delight. And Duper's Delight is a easy way that you can identify a sadistic personality type because they will do something, they will harm you, they will attack you, they will lie to you, they will betray you, and then they will smile when they do it. That is how you know. And again, when you see that Grinch grin, you will know. You will know because you're going to feel it at your core that something is off with what you saw. And something is off with what you saw because you were visited by a creature from the underworld. Creatures from the, if you see that smirk, grin, it's going to look, maybe something like this here. And again, if you see this grin, people run in the opposite direction. Run in the opposite direction. That is what you will need to do. And PU writes, I have learned this information and I got a confession from the narcissist. And all you're saying here is true. The narcissist told me that they send energy to me to provoke me and to anger me. And they did it 13 times last year. Yep. So yeah, people, you are dealing with sorcery. Evil arts, dark magic, evil witchcraft. Again, use whatever name or, whatever word makes sense for the language that you speak. But that is what you're dealing with. Spiritual attacks, malevolent spirits sending their malevolent energy your way. And again, you have to know, number one, if you're being attacked, what does that look like? Right? Sleep disruptions, largely out of nowhere. Again, you know your normal tiredness, right? So you know your normal tiredness, and then just you're just drained, right? Can't sleep. It's messing with your digestion. You will know because something is gonna be off if you're dealing with a pathological narcissist. Maybe you're getting sick and you're going to the doctors, and the doctors cannot find a reason. They won't be able to find a reason because it's spiritual. And that takes discernment. And Occult Examiner writes, it's like the movie Fallen with Denzel Washington. I don't recall me watching that movie, but I can definitely check that one out. because I like to use movie references in the different videos and so on. But choose any villain in any movie. That is the narcissist, people. That is the pathological narcissist. Any villain in any movie. That's why I talk about Chucky, and these different characters, Agent Smith versus Neo. Any villain in any movie. That's the pathological narcissist. And shout outs to Israel. We are born checking in. And you're not late. Have a good bit of time here. So welcome and thank you for checking in. And for the people that are stopping in, ensure that you give this live session a like and join us in the comment section. Again, ask questions and engage. Maybe you have something on your mind that I haven't really explained very well in a video, or if you want to ask a question, a brand new question, go ahead and leave that in the chat. So yeah, if you're dealing again with these people that are sending these negative energies, there are things that you can do. And again, it depends on how you're being attacked. So if they're attacking you in the dream realm, for example, then you would need to be more lucid or more aware in your dreams, right? So what is happening in the dreams? Are they trying to feed you, they're trying to get you to eat something, trying to get you to go somewhere with them in the dream, right? You can be lucid in the dream to stop those attacks. There's some physical attacks where you could, physically protect your home or your room, or even physically protect your body. It really depends on what you're navigating. But when you're dealing with these attacks, people, it shouldn't be going on forever. There has to be a stop to it. And putting a stop to this takes discernment. And sometimes it could just take a return to sender spell. But the thing is, if you're still interacting and communing with the narcissist, then you're in agreement with the entities. Keyword communion. I don't say if you have to talk to the narcissist and it's a toxic boss or a toxic neighbor. That's just talking to them. Communing is when you're fusing your energy. The narcissist is inviting you to dinner and you're there breaking bread with the narcissist. That is the agreement. And that is why you will get attacked. And PU writes, can they read our minds? So it depends on the narcissist. So what you're talking about here is like telepathy or maybe divination to a degree. And those are abilities and skills that we all have, but malevolent spirits are hunters. And they very well may be able to divine certain things that you did not tell them, because again, they detect frequencies and your thoughts are operating on frequencies. So there are certain times when they can intercept those thoughts, but again, it depends on the narcissist. And there are also ways that you can block your thoughts from being intercepted. So whether they can read your minds or not, it depends on the level of it depends on the ranking of the entity that you're dealing with, because you can also read minds. Yep, yeah. Evan writes, they make you sick with a headache. Yes, that's right. That right there, that's how you know. So if you're someone and you don't normally have headaches or migraines, and all of a sudden, again, these headaches are just coming on, again, check with your doctors and all of that to rule out any physical causes. But again, we're talking about if you're communing with a pathological narcissist and you're experiencing all these strange symptoms, right? Or maybe you had headaches and your headaches are like a level 4, but then when you're around the narcissist, your headaches are on a level 10. That is how you know, because the entity or the energy of the entity is going to pull you down. It's going to suppress you. It's going to make you sick, right? It makes you sick physically. It makes you sick at the spirit level. It also makes you sick in your mind. It makes your emotions all over the place. You will know, because it's the spirit of death is what it is. And what it touches, it kills. It's a curse. That is how you will know. So Israel writes, it's like I notice a scared child anxious and they're attracted to me subconsciously. Naturally, I feel annoyed and I divert from it. It's hard to explain. I don't think they know I see them amongst things. That is true also, right? So some of them, so they're more aware. They operate at varying levels of awareness. So you may very well be able to see them, and then they don't know that you see them, and that is good. That gives you the upper hand because you're more aware or your ranking is higher than the entity that you are up against. And don't play with these malevolent spirits. Again, if you're dealing with one of these pathological personality types that are possessed, you need to safely make your exit. So again, stand your ground, yes, but safely make your exit. Let the narcissist go chase somebody else. Let them torment somebody else. And Beauty and Pablo writes, I felt strange, like an earthquake. That's a very good description. Like an earthquake in my whole being. That is spiritual warfare right there. That's a very good description of it. It feels like a earthquake in my whole being. Yep, because you're trying to sever your tie with the divine. They're trying to cut you off from source. That is why it feels so devastating. That is spiritual warfare right there. And that is why, again, people, that is why we lose our sense of self, right? That is why we experience all of these symptoms of, CP, anxiety. Let me zoom in a little bit here. Anxiety, depression, right? Maybe you're not sleeping. Maybe you have headaches, migraines, mood swings. And again, you know that you're a fairly stable person. Again, not to say that you're perfect. But all of these symptoms, again, are overwhelming you. Again, not even after the entanglement. This could be during the relationship. That is how you know. Because you're being attacked. They're attacking your emotional faculties. They're attacking your mind. That's why you can't think. That's why you have that brain fog. Because it's the glamour magic of the malevolent spirits. It's a mind twisting spirit. Because it's trying to sever your tie with the divine. Because you're trying to capture your soul. That is what you're dealing with. And Edwin writes, I remember feeling some like a freezing cold. That's another good point right there, everybody. Spirits, again, it could be a legion, demon traveling teams. You could feel extreme heat or you could feel extreme coldness. It really depends. So if you are feeling energetic shifts or atmospheric shifts around you, right? You're by yourself, things are fairly normal. But again, when this narcissist, Ned the narcissist or Nancy the narcissist comes around, and there's this cold, chilling breeze that follows them, people, that's the spirit or spirits that are following them. That is not normal to experience those severe atmospheric shifts. It's the entity. Or there are certain times when the entities come within your presence, you feel like a dense, palpable force come in. And again, this could be, let's say you have the narcissist here. It very well may be that you feel another energetic presence separate from the narcissist moving through your home. Maybe it's isolated into one corner. That's the entity. And you have to be aware of what it is because it may not show any physical signs. But you will detect that it's there in your environment. You will detect the energy. Maybe you smell the entity, right? Maybe you feel that presence shifting through your home. Maybe it attacks you in a dream because it can't get you in the physical realm. It depends. And Royal Minds writes, I have seen their eyes and a tear rolled from my eyes, and the hair stood up on my skin. And I said to myself, I am stronger than you. That's a very good one right there. Yep. So yeah, if you're dealing with one of these spirits, you're dealing with a intimidating spirit, but again, know that you are more powerful than them with awareness. Because if one of these entities blindside you, you're most likely going to freeze. You're going to be confused. You don't know what you're dealing with, right? But again, with awareness, you can step out of that freeze kind of response into a more, how can I protect myself? How can I stand my ground? How can I get out of this situation? Because again, that entity that you saw or that you felt was the same entity that was attacking you through the narcissist, because the spirit attached to that physical person, and then it is operating through the physical person to get to you, because what they want is your light. These entities feed on chi, they feed on life force energy. And here's an example of a dream attack. And Jay Moshi writes that the narc came to me in a dream after I had started cutting cords and I had threw out all of the gifts. In the dream, she was naked and the background was dark and foggy. I rejected her advances and then I woke up after. And you see, people, that right there is an example of a succubus or an incubus demon. All right, a succubus or an incubus demon. And these are demonic entities or demonic creatures feed on your sexual chi, oftentimes via dreams. Right? It's a very particular demon that likes to feed on sexual chi. And when they feed on your sexual chi, that is how they get stronger. So if somebody's again trying to, if you see the narcissist or some other creature or something that looks like a woman or it looks like a man in a dream that is trying to have sex with you, that is a no. That is an agreement. And you do not want to get into any agreement or any communion with a demon, because demons do not want your communion. What they want is to siphon your energy. So again, even in the dreams, people, you have to reject these advances. You shouldn't be eating strange things in dreams. And you shouldn't be accepting those advances, sexual advances in dreams. Those should also be rejected. Because again, if narcissists don't catch you in the physical, they will try to catch you in the metaphysical. They're going to try to catch you in the spirit realm or in the dream realm. So you're going to be breaking all covenants in the physical and the metaphysical. And again, clean your space. Sometimes the narcissist will plant objects in or around your home. Clean your home. Do some spring cleaning. All right. And you get rid of the things that are more charged. Let's say the narcissist has a favorite marker. Get rid of those markers first, or clothing items, right? Take some time and clean your space. And if the narcissist gave you a gift, get rid of those gifts, especially certain gifts that are charged or that you're wearing on your body, right? Let's say it's a chain and every day you're putting on that chain or that necklace. It's a belt and every day you're putting that around you. Get rid of all of those items, because they very well may have cursed them. Again, especially the narcissist people that these people are involved in sorcery. Do not accept any gifts from them, because it's not a gift. They're trying to tie you to the underworld is what it is. And shout outs to Baloo. And Baloo writes, why do some people get attacked so much while others don't? That's a very good question. Why do some people get attacked while others don't? So people understand that the warfare that you are going to face is going to be based on your spiritual ranking. All right. Understand that the warfare, the spiritual warfare that you will face is going to be based on your spiritual ranking. right? Because we're all spirits here having a physical experience. So depending on your purpose, on your ranking, then if you're a higher ranking angel being or star seed, then you very well may face a bigger demon, meaning more sorcery attacks, right? More sleep paralysis, more dream attacks, right? More abuse from the family system that you're in, and so on. And it is in awareness that we can step out of these dysfunctional roles and these dysfunctional cycles then, and transform our pain into our purpose, because you don't want our pain to break us. But the reason why, again, depending on what you're going through, why are you getting so much of warfare? It's because of your spiritual ranking. So the higher your ranking, the higher the demons want to come against you. And Leisha Leggins has a really good question here. So Leisha writes, my mother was loving in my childhood, but later in my teenage years, she became a narcissist when she got involved in a covenant. Do narcissism always start in childhood? So, oftentimes, if we grow up in these dysfunctional family systems, when we are younger, we are oftentimes unaware of the dysfunction. And in us being unaware of that dysfunction, then it very well may be that we did not see the narcissism or the dysfunction. All right. So, know that if you're watching this live or if you're subscribed to the channel, then you were most likely put into the scapegoat role or the lost child role. So oftentimes what happens is when we're growing up, we're being treated fairly okay, right? Maybe we're more so in the golden child role, maybe we're getting a little bit of decent treatment, but it's very normal where in these family systems, as the child continues to age, the more narcissistic the parent gets. And this is because narcissistic parents do not like individuality. You cannot be a true, unique, authentic individual in a narcissistic, dysfunctional family system. This is because you're dealing with people with emotional arrested development. So as you continue to get older, you will see where they will try to pull you back down into the toxic cycle. So yes, narcissism is born out of childhood, abandonment, neglect, and abuse. So if you believe, again, if you go back through your, just your history, you'll see where if you go back, you will see the emotionally immature behavior of your parental figures. What happens again is oftentimes as you get older, the behavior gets worse because you're trying to individuate. You're trying to become a unique individual, and you cannot be that in a narcissistic, dysfunctional family system, because what they want are minions. They want people that they can push around and boss around. So also know that this behavior gets worse with time, right? This is why I often state on the channel that they age like milk, they don't age like wine. So again, oftentimes you'll be treated fairly decently when you're younger, and it gets worse over time because again, the narcissistic parent has to keep you in line. But know that these pathological personality disorders are created out of childhood abandonment. Because if you find me a pathological narcissist, I already know that they stop growing somewhere between their terrible 2s to 12 years old. Anybody with these pathological personality disorders checked out. They stop developing internally somewhere between their terrible 2s to 12 years old. On average, let's say 5, 6, or 7 years old. They don't behave like adults because they did not get to adulthood, because they have arrested development. So if you go back through your childhood upbringing, you should be, because it's dysfunction left and dysfunction right in a narcissistic dysfunctional family system. And Edwin writes, can they be delivered? I remember her telling me in a dream that please don't leave me, but then told me to help her release under the water where she was captured. Okay. So what we're getting into here is deliverance or exorcism. So is it possible? It's possible that pigs could fly. All right. But how probable is it that a pig can fly? Because there's possibility and then there's probability. So know that if you're dealing with a pathological narcissist, oftentimes they are so dissociated where there's not much that you can do for them. And what I also want to add here is you should be very mindful of who or what is talking to you in your dreams, because pathological narcissists are shapeshifters. So you very well may see someone talking to you in a dream and you think it's a human being, and it's not a human being, it's a demon. And it's the demon pretending to be a human being. All right. And oftentimes narcissists like to do this because they know that they're playing on your emotions, and then you're going to buy into the facade. You're going to buy into the pretense. So is it possible that they could be delivered? Anything is possible. Now, is it probable? That's a very low number. And also know that if you get those entities out, that does not mean that the narcissist is magically cured. They still have severe psychological trauma that they need to go through, and they also have various addictions. So they would need various types of rehabs for whatever addictions they're going through. If you're dealing with a narcissist that is alcoholic, well, they still need help in being an alcoholic or a sex addict, etc., etc., etc. Let me try to get to some more of these comments. So yeah, the chat is loading a little bit laggy, so give me a second here. And Colibri Flyer writes, I frightfully experienced the black eyes, the morphed face of this malignant narcissist, and he kicked the metal garden furniture to express his anger. I then carefully stepped away. Yep. So when you're with a narcissist, dealing with a narcissist, you have to protect yourself, because again, you're dealing with possessed people, and again, they are possessed by malevolent entities. And there are different names that you can use to refer to malevolent spirits, right? You call them right? Demons, Jezebel, Leviathan, Python, Wetico, spirit spouses, evil jinns, evil tricksters. Again, use any name that makes sense for you or that resonates with you. But again, you're dealing with a malevolent spirit, ancient evil spirits, right? Nephilim creatures. That is what you're dealing with. And again, they have taken over these people as hosts. That is what you're dealing with. And shout outs to Hardwired to Self Destruction checking in. Thanks for joining the live. And again, leave these comments here in the chat. I'll plug away at them as we go through. All right, so Colibri Flyer writes, we have a couple of these kinds where I live. Why the concentration of evil people? Very good question. Why are there so many narcissists, everybody? Why are we plagued by these people? And, I did a video, one of the more popular videos on the channel, where I mentioned that Earth is 85% dark. I know that when I speak, I'm speaking about consciousness, right? Because we're all conscious beings having a physical experience. So don't get too attached to the words narcissism, because that's clinical language. So when I say that Earth is 85% dark, I mean that people are asleep. People are asleep. They're still trapped in their lower ego. They have not had a spiritual awakening like you've had a spiritual awakening. Because to have a spiritual awakening, you have to have an ego death. So unconscious people have not had an ego death. That is why there are so many narcissists around us. Because again, any body that is still plugged into the matrix is susceptible of being taken over. Any body that is still plugged into the matrix is susceptible of being taken over. So anybody that is still attached to their ego is susceptible of being taken over. And that is why there are so many narcissists around you. They did not evolve, they did not grow up. And we are dealing with a systemic issue because, again, people are unaware of the entities that we're talking about here on this channel. So know that people, what we talk about here on this channel is very high level information that most people around you very well may not have the consciousness to grasp. As we were talking about pathological narcissism and we're talking about these possessed people, and you go in the streets, talking about people that are possessed, most people are not gonna get what you're talking about because you're asleep. And why are they asleep? Because they haven't had an ego death. And if they don't have an ego death, they don't spiritually awaken. And this is why many are called, but few are chosen. That is why you're here. You are the chosen ones. You have awakened. You chose yourself. You chose light. You chose to ascend. That is why you're here. Many are called, few are chosen. So if you're dealing with a pathological narcissists are possessed. Possessed by what? Evil spirits. Again, call evil spirits whatever name you want to call them based on whatever culture you come from. So is it possible that you could exorcise a demon or demons? Sure, but that again does not cure the person. Because the demons could come back. Again, just like an alcoholic, the alcoholic could relapse. And what you will see is it's oftentimes easier for you to find relationships with healthy people that are not possessed. Find people that are in the fourth dimension or higher. Because if you're dealing with a pathological narcissist, Brenda the borderline, Bob the borderline, Henry the histrionic, Patrick the psychopath, you're at the bottom of the consciousness ladder. So what it is that you don't go to the bottom of the consciousness ladder to look for intimate relationships, for friendships, for business relationships. You ascend and you find people that are in your dimension. That's the fourth dimension or higher. And let's go ahead and take a look at the Hawkins scale. So if we're talking about consciousness, then you should be communing with others like you, right? Birds of a feather should be flocking together. So yeah, when we're talking about consciousness, and again, just using the Hawkins scale, if someone is stuck at the bottom of the consciousness ladder like a pathological narcissist, then there's a lot of internal work that needs to be done. And oftentimes this internal work needs to be done with a good healer, coach, sangoma. Again, that can go to that level of deep spiritual help. But again, if you're dealing with a pathological narcissist people, you're dealing with someone that lost themselves. Again, that's the disorder, right? And this is why it's much easier for you to be communing with other people that are in your dimension. Again, there are people in the fourth dimension or higher. That is what you're looking for. People that are in flow, people that have their hearts open, their heart chakras are not blocked. Those are the friends that you're looking for. Those are the intimate relationships that you're looking for. You don't shop around at the bottom of the Hawkins scale looking for love. Love does not exist at the bottom of the consciousness ladder. Love is a high vibration emotion, way up there in the 500s. And this is why we have to raise our standards after these entanglements. So, Kenneth, let me bring up this here. Right, I called the police on mine and she was arrested. And it happened the day after she got back from a what okay, got back from a sexual event and raged on me. Yup, people, that's the demon. That's the succubus entity. Succubus, incubus spirit is a sex demon. Again, narcissists like to feed on sexual chi. And when you interrupt that supply, they get upset with you because that is how they feed. So again, people know that narcissists lack internal self-esteem, and because they lack that self-esteem from within, they have to get it from the outside. And this is why they sleep around with so many people. They're trying to use other esteem, and again, this is that supply that they get to, kind of keep themselves fairly leveled. But again, eventually they have to run off into the wind to go sleep with somebody else. That's the disorder. Because again, narcissists travel with the succubus and incubus demons. It's a demon. Hypersexuality, that's the demon. Can't control their impulses because it's the entity. And shout outs to in the comments, everybody. Tila is a part of the Master Your Energy group coaching program. For anybody that, some of you have probably done one-on-one sessions with me, but know that I also have a group coaching program where we meet Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 6 p.m. EST. And we talk about just like what we're talking about here, right? We talk about somatic healing, re-regulating our nervous system. We talk about CPTSD. We talk about mastering our energy, raising our vibrations, ascending, all right? How to build better boundaries, emotional healing, and so on. So if you're looking to master the fundamentals of personal development and success, to live the life that you truly want, and that's really the main thing. So people know that again, you should not be going through narcissistic abuse, narcissist after narcissist after narcissist after narcissist after narcissist. Because if that is happening, then there's something that you can't see, right? And know that this abuse runs deep because it's coming from our childhood upbringing. And this is why you very well may need a professional to help guide you through this, right? So again, we talk about CPTSD. Very important to understand the symptoms of complex post-traumatic stress disorder because that's the after effects of spiritual warfare. So we talk about spiritual warfare, all of these different types of abuse. And we also talk about how to have proper boundaries moving forward so that you can attract the, a good intimate partner that you want, good friends, good work, not toxic workplace environments, right? But positive workplace environments and so on. So we do this inner work, this inner energy alchemy, and I'll guide you through doing all of this again in this group coaching program. So for those of you that are looking for a class and other like-minded people like yourself, go ahead and check this out on the NarcDojo website, or again, book a one-on-one clarity call with me if you have, more specific things that we may not be able to get through here in these lives. And Alex writes, I can't find anyone awake in person, only online. Yep, that happens so often. And that is because chosen ones are spaced all over the globe, right? We're spaced out all over because, we are here to spread our light. So you'd have, one chosen one in this family, another one, and so on. And it's just, we're not all in the same, the same state, the same locale, the same parish. And we're spaced out all over the globe. And this is why we have to form these communities online, because most often, again, know that you're going to be a minority. I mentioned again that Earth is 85% dark, so you're going to be having to look in that 15% for people that are like you. And again, they may not be physically, right beside you, but again, you're going to have to, find them online, and so on. But know that too, you only need maybe one or two good friends. So again, chosen ones are a minority. So again, you're looking for people like you, but again, know that they are in that minority. And some chosen ones are still caught up in, they're still caught, woken up properly yet, still getting out of those narcissistic entanglements. And it's scary to see because Earth is 85% dark. The darkness runs deep, right? Don't get too attached to the number 85, right? The darkness runs deep. All I'm saying is it's not no 50-50. A lot of people are asleep. It could be more than 85, could be less, but it runs very deep. That is the problem that we're all facing. And again, that is why it's good to, while we don't have a lot of these people maybe physically around us, at least we can have these live sessions and, these different YouTube channels, TikToks, Instagrams, and so on. And these are our watering holes. This is where we can feed and thrive and revive ourselves from these toxic entanglements. And Colibri made a very good point here. And they write, alcohol and gossip are the binding elements of these narcs where I live. I learned how to navigate around them. Make a poker face, be civil, however, avoid being entangled with them. That is a very good example of a gray rock right there, right? Make a poker face, be civil, however, avoid being entangled with them. So it's beautifully written right there. That's what you have to do when you're dealing with these entities, people. Neutralize your face, poker face, right? If the narcissist is asking you a question and they're trying to get a rise out of you, either ignore them, or sometimes if you have to say, just one or two word answers. How was your day? My day was okay. Cut it off. Don't feed the bears because it's a predator. They're a predatory personality. And that is why you have to safely disengage, right? So do not justify yourself to these people. Do not argue with them because, again, that's feeding them, right? Do not defend yourself against narcissists and don't explain yourselves, right? Be clear, be concise, keep it moving because they're always trying to siphon your energy. And Israel writes, when the frequency is high, you see glitches. Very well said. Very, very well said. Because as you raise your awareness, the higher you go, the more you can see. That is how you will see them glitch. You will see them shapeshift. Their face will get pointy. And their cheeks will get pointy like a gargoyle. Because that's the witch. That's that evil spirit that you're dealing with. The narcissist will change height. They will change width. Because again, that's the creature, that's the entity that you have been dealing with on day zero. People, I sincerely hope that with the narcissist that you were married with, married to, maybe it was an intimate relationship narcissist, maybe it's a friendship narcissist, again, maybe it's a neighbor. Again, understand that these people were compromised many, many, many moons ago. Because again, this is childhood trauma. Personality disorders are created out of childhood trauma. It is childhood dissociation. And when they dissociated between their terrible 2s to 12 years old, that's when these entities stepped in. So when you got married to the narcissist, in your 20s, or if you started dating in your 20s or your 30s or your 40s or whatever that was, they were already possessed. They were already possessed. People, I sincerely hope you understand this. And I hope this lets you let go of some of the gaslighting, some of the blaming yourself. Narcissists checked out in their childhood years. Childhood years, and people always say, why do I say they're terrible 2 to 12 years old? Because you cannot find me a pathological narcissist that acts like a healthy teenager. None of them made it to teenage years. No, you cannot find me a pathological narcissist that acts like a healthy 13, 14, 15, like a middle schooler. They don't. They act like a maladaptive teenager, and that's how you know that something went wrong before they became a teenager. On average, again, they act like 5 or 6 year olds. They throw tantrums, which means they're very close to 2. Again, they did not individuate, they failed the individuation process. Light stepped out, darkness stepped in. Darkness are those malevolent spirits. So that is what you're dealing with. They got compromised. The malevolent entity was able to walk in and suppress their light. That is why they're stuck at the bottom of the consciousness ladder. And Edwin writes, I got terrified after being awakened because the world is built on a lie and my frequency is getting higher every day. Yep. It's a very mind-boggling thing to wake up and, then you see that the other people around you are asleep. But again, as you continue to ascend, the higher you go, the more you can see. And also know the higher you go, the less people are at the top of the consciousness ladder because the stairways to heaven are narrow. But again, hell is filled with lost souls. Unfortunate reality. Hell is filled with lost souls, and that is why you do not want to follow a lost soul. If you follow lost souls like pathological narcissists, you will become lost just like them. Let me zoom out a little so I can see a couple more of these comments. Alex writes, when I disengaged from the BPD roommate prior to moving out, I only responded to questions with noises like, wow, okay, instead of full sentences. Yep, that's it. That's a good gray rock. Cut your energy. Cut your energy. Stop feeding the beast. Cut your energy. Light. You are generating the light. Cut the supply. Cut the energy. Let them go feed on somebody else. Again, neutralize your energy. And again, you have to be aware that this is what they are trying to do. So Leisha Leggins asks a very good question here. Many people get married and claim they are in love, but can people be in love that are low 3D vibration with no true self? Such a good question. Can the people that are stuck, keyword stuck, because again, none of us are perfect, but can the people that are stuck in the 3D love is a resounding no. What you get from people that are stuck at the bottom of the consciousness ladder is control, is domination, is lies and connivery. So what you will get is a love bomb because love does not exist at the bottom of the consciousness ladder. You'll find love up there in the 500s. And that is why we could never see eye to eye, because we cannot see eye to eye because you are unequally yoked. They cannot love because they don't have love to give. What they can give is a love bomb, devalue, discard, hoover. Love bomb, devalue, discard, hoover. And what that is a demonic carousel. And why are you on a demonic carousel? You are on a demonic carousel because you're dealing with people that are possessed. Because every single day, pathological narcissists knock on hell's door. If you knock on hell, if you knock on hell's door, then demons are going to answer. Demons live in hell. Demons feed on chi. So again, when you discern that you're dealing with one of these ancient malevolent spirits, you leave safely before, because again, they will attack you because they don't want you to leave because they're feeding on you. They will set you up. You have to be very vigilant. A very good question here by Lily A. And Lily A writes, how do they know when we are feeling low? It seems like they withdraw when I'm feeling good, but God forbid I feel down one day, they come and attack. What a good question. Why do these creatures attack you when you're again they're trying to pull you down is the thing. So know that you are dealing with a bullying, intimidating spirit. All right? So what happens is when you feel good, they don't like it. They don't like it when you're feeling good. You're vibrating too high again. You're dealing with a low vibrational being. So if you're up here feeling good, nope, they have to plot and scheme. And the narcissist says, The narcissist rubs their hands like Birdman and says, what can I do to take this person down off their high horse? Am I going to lie to them, triangulate them, gaslight them? What am I going to do? And eventually they will attack you. Eventually they will attack you because it's a demon. Demons attack. They are the opposition. So the opposition must attack you. So they know when you're feeling low because they feed on fuel. They are detecting the energetic changes, that you are going through because they feed on chi. So if you're feeling too high, they'll want to knock you off your high horse. Or if you're feeling down, they like it because they can feed on your supply. Anyhow you spin it, it's always for supply. It is the feed on chi. That is what they feed on. Let's see. Candy B writes, this experience is like being in a video game. Yep, it is surreal. It is surreal. And it's like a video game because it's the Matrix. It's a construct. It's made up. It's made up. It's fake. So PU writes, the narcissist told me that the love bomb discard is taught by the entity in their early age and they can travel energy wise only after 12 years. Okay. So again, the narcissistic abuse cycle again, yep, is spiritual warfare. And that is that is them again fusing with the underworld. And that is what you're dealing with. If somebody is possessed, they have been taken over by dark force energy. And it is those demons that you're dealing with. So they have demonic intel. So the demons will tell them how to lie to you and how to sabotage you. And Baloo writes, how can you keep your vibration high to attract a better life when you have CPTSD and living with a narc and are in constant shame and fear? Very, very good question. How can you keep your vibration high to attract a better life when you have CPTSD and living with a narc and are in constant fear and shame? All right, so let's talk about CPTSD real quick. And then we're going to talk about what can we do to kind of balance this out. So know that when it comes to CPTSD, right, that is complex post-traumatic stress disorder. CPTSD is the clinical name for the after effects of spiritual warfare. If you're being attacked left and right, attacking you spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, sexually, financially, you have to have effects. Something has to happen, right? So what we get coming out of these entanglements is kind of be like being mauled by a bear or being attacked by a lion, right? So we have this loss of a sense of self, right? Memory loss, brain fog, bodily pains. It could be physical aches and pains, right? Illnesses, autoimmune illnesses. Maybe your skin, showing in your skin is breaking out, right? And the reason why this is complex is because there are multiple different instances of abuse over a long period of time. Because soldiers go to war and oftentimes they come out with post-traumatic stress disorder. But again, understand that when we're talking about spiritual warfare here, then we're talking about attacks, multiple attacks over time. So it's not just PTSD, it's complex PTSD, right? So know that if you're dealing with a narcissist, it's very hard to heal in a toxic environment because the narcissist doesn't like health. Narcissists don't like health. Narcissists don't like love. They don't like kindness. They don't like togetherness because you're dealing with an evil spirit, and evil is against the living. Evil is life inverted, it's the inverse of life. So if you're dealing with a narcissist, people, you have to safely make an exit however you can. Safely make an exit however you can. And behavior that the narcissist is exhibiting. But it's very hard for us to try to heal because, again, we're being forced into this toxic entanglement, right? Wherever you see a narcissist, right next to them has to be an enabler, and they're trying to force you into this enabler role. And this is not healthy because what it is that we have to get the courage to walk away. So if you're living with a narcissist, you have to gray rock and neutralize your energy to a degree until you can leave because they're always going to attack you. Darkness is going to try to attack the light. They don't like you. It's like Agent Smith. Agent Smith is going to attack Neo in the Matrix. Why? Because Agent Smith is a villain. He's an antagonist. So narcissists are antagonists. They have to antagonize. So you can gray rock, but again, always know that you're gray rocking and neutralizing your energy until you can safely leave and go no contact. And it is when you're away from the narcissist, then you can focus on healing those symptoms of CPTSD and addressing the childhood trauma properly. So it's really, again, low contact or gray rock until you can get to no contact, blowing the bridge up. Again, going for the help from the coach, therapist, healer, sangoma, etc. It's very difficult again to heal because you're not in a healing space in that third dimension with the narcissist. It's victim abuser consciousness. So it's you're gonna have to figure out how to again step out of that dimension into a more healthy space, and that oftentimes means leaving, right? Gray rocking, traveling more, less interaction with the narcissist until you can safely leave. Keyword safely leave these entanglements. And yep, Kenneth writes, yep, so narcissist people are not worthy individuals. These are the people who sleep around on you. They will sleep with just about anybody. They'll sleep with he, she, or the old lady. That's why I did said that these people again are not loyal. Narcissists are not loyal people. They like to sleep around because, again, they have that succubus demon or that incubus sex demon that makes them hypersexual and they cannot control themselves. So oftentimes you will see where when you cut off that main narcissist, you have to cut off the other enablers or other toxic people around you. So some of your friends are frenemies. You have to cut off those frenemies, right? If you have a family member that is siding with the narcissist, that is not your family member. That is a relative. You're related to them. Cut them off. And when I say cut off here again, it's boundaries. And you will have to know what boundaries mean for you. But be mindful of keeping betrayers around you. Because betrayers will call in other betrayers just like themselves and they will team up on you. And this is where gang stalking comes in, where the bullies will team up to attack you. Again, safely make your exit however you can, depending on your situation. Anybody that sides with your enemy is an enemy of yours. And Sterling Parks writes, your channel opened my eyes a lot. I am 33 and barely found out about this. Yeah, but it's a very mind-boggling thing. So forgive yourself. Similarly, for most of us, we didn't know the language narcissism. We just saw strange behavior and we were like, what on earth is happening? And it's not from Earth. These creatures are not from Earth. They're from the underworld. That is what is happening. You are being attacked by creatures from the underworld. And that is what we have to wake up to and learn how to protect ourselves from. So, there are over 900 videos on YouTube, so many more on TikTok. So watch the videos, rewatch them. There's so many great nuggets, golden nuggets in those. Am I back? I think I'm back. Yeah, so I think the live is working again. I don't know what's up with the internet. Yeah, the internet froze for some reason. All right, perfect, perfect. Yeah, the internet froze here. Well, yeah, what I was mentioning before is that we broke out of the third dimension. That is the awakening. We're supposed to awaken out of the third dimension. Yeah, global rights. I thought people were honest and would tell me if they were cheating or stealing. Yeah, not these people. Again, not to say that if somebody messes up, they won't eventually fess up and say it. But with narcissists, they want to continue to cheat on you. They want to cheat. They want to lie. They like to lie. That is what you're dealing with a narcissist. And Kenneth writes, once I unmasked mine, she would give snippets of the truth cruelly. It was crazy. And that is what they like to do. That is what they like to do because, again, you're dealing with a sadistic spirit. A sadistic spirit that feeds on your pain. PU didn't see this question, so let me address it now. As a PU writes, when they touch someone, is that also to siphon energy, as it is easier to touch and siphon someone's energy? It could be. So there are different ways that somebody could do a spiritual attack, and one of them is getting into close proximity to you. But it doesn't mean that every single time they try to touch you, that's an attack. But you could get attacked via, again, that's why I say don't commune with narcissists. Don't be hugging them. Don't be eating their food. Don't be traveling with them and hanging out with them. So not every single time, but you can get attacked via that, by close physical interaction. And Beauty and Pablo writes, I think I had a dream about cakes because the narcissist was hiding food from me. He would hide when he eats, and he had a very big issue with food and aggression. Okay, yeah, a lot of narcissists are stingy on people. Again, they're not. Again, when somebody is stuck down there in survival mode, they don't want to give up their stuff, right? So a lot of narcissists are stingy, and they will hide your food. They could hide your clothes and hide your stuff because they like to meddle. They like to meddle and fiddle with people. That's the thing with the narcissist. And again, all of that aggression is coming from that inner that rage that they have been carrying around for so many years. They have a lot of internal work to do, but again, they just keep sweeping stuff under the rug because they don't have the ability to self-reflect as you do. So yeah, you will always see aggression. You'll see passive aggression. They're very passive in how they are. Again, very stingy personalities. Or if they give you stuff, they're giving with the intention to get something in return, which is, they're not true givers. And Hardwired to Self Destruct writes, be careful with your kindness. Your kindness needs boundaries. Very well said. So it's not the empathy that you have to worry about, it is your boundaries, right? Physical boundaries, sexual boundaries, financial boundaries, mental boundaries. And it is in being very clear on what your boundaries are that you can protect yourself, because know that if you're dealing with a pathological narcissist, they're a predatory personality type. So you don't want sticks or hay. You want brick solid boundaries when you're dealing with these people, because they want to break your boundaries. Narcissists go through life breaking people's boundaries. So it's up to you to create those boundaries and uphold them. Because again, the narcissist is not there to respect your boundaries. Narcissists are not there to respect your boundaries. Narcissists are there to take from you, which means they don't care about your boundaries. Edwin writes, I remember she used to give me a hug, but later when I got to praying more, she refused to hug me. And she bought me perfume but told me to pay for it. And then she used to make cakes a lot to give to me. Yeah. You see, when you're dealing with a narcissist, again, narcissists are involved in too many different things Again, not trustworthy characters at all. And what you will see is as you start to heal, it repels them. As you start to ascend, it repels them because they're low vibrational beings and they cannot step into the light. Right? Vampires cannot step into the light. And again, a lot of narcissists are involved in sorcery activities. You should be, these people are offering you things to eat. Do not eat it. That's the agreement. And they're buying you things to, spray on yourself. Do no. Return to sender. Give them back. Toss them out. Again, there needs to be a level of cleaning that is done when you're coming out of these entanglements, because who knows what negative energy they have charged those items with that they've given to you. So yeah, disengage when you see that you're not dealing with a true human being. Because again, these entities don't have love to give, they don't have understanding to give. What they come to do is to trick you. And they come to trick you away from your light, and they come to trick you off your divine path. Because it's a trickster spirit. It's a trickster spirit that is there to deceive you. And it's always deceiving. Always deceiving. Even when you think that they're not. Always deceiving. And there are a lot of narcissists or toxic people around because anybody that is still plugged into the matrix is susceptible of being taken over. That's most of the people on this planet. Most people are unconscious. Third dimension. Know that the third dimension in itself is not evil. It's just a vibration. And us waking up was us stepping out of the third dimension. The problems come in when somebody is stuck at the bottom of the consciousness ladder. And if somebody is stuck there, then there needs to be a lot of internal work done so that they can leave. So again, there's nothing wrong with feeling anger or feeling shame or feeling guilt, but it's when you get stuck in that dimension. For example, pathological narcissists, they're stuck in that dimension. They're rooted in shame and unable to move past their pride. And we were also down there with the narcissists if we were entangled with them. But again, we have the ability to get the courage to ascend. We can step into the light, but vampires don't step into the light because they will explode. So yeah, PU writes, in IT companies, how comes I find that almost everyone to be a narcissist? You can observe every family has so many narcissists. We can do the math. If my family has it, then other families will have it elsewhere. Yo, so again, Earth is 85% dark. And again, don't get too attached to that number 85. It is important that you understand that most people are unconscious because we are consciousness having a physical experience. So if most people are unconscious, and you can see that in your family system, then your family system is a microcosm of everything else that is happening around. And with that said, then this is the dysfunction. Most people end up narcissists, and if they're not narcissists, they're enablers, and both of them are toxic. And it is until we get the courage to walk away from this dysfunction, then they don't heal. So again, wherever you find a narcissist, right next to them is an enabler All of this is toxic. It is important that we get to the fourth dimension or higher. So most people, you will see they're stuck in or around the suffering dimension. So they're unconscious. And Kenneth writes, see here. Kenneth writes, she told me she was tired of tricking people and that she likes women after 30 years of entanglement. So if you're dealing with a pathological narcissist, know that narcissists don't love anyone or they don't like anyone. What it is that that person is leaving you to go use somebody else. That's all narcissists do. They don't like men, they don't like women, they use everybody. There's no loving relationship that you can have with a pathological. So when they get out of your life, say good riddance. The trash took itself out. Narcissists cannot have healthy relationships with anybody. Men, women, they don't have healthy relationships with their children. Narcissists don't even like pets. They don't have love to give. They cannot have healthy relationships. That's a disorder. So that is a lie. That's a lie. Narcissists are just running off to find more supply. That's all. They're not that deep. They're not that deep. Max Helsinki writes, do you think it's possible that even though a mother suffers intolerably from the father's abuse, she's still enabling him for attacks against their child? So when we're taking a look at the narcissistic dysfunctional family system, it is led by functional people. So normally have one person that is more toxic, that is going to be the more narcissistic figure. All right. Then you have somebody else that is enabling them. This is the dynamic that you will see in these dysfunctional family systems. And this is also the dynamic that you grew up in. That is why you're here. If we ended up in the enabler role, then we were hanging around enablers. We were raised by enablers. This is codependence. This is people pleasing. So again, the dynamic is if you have a more toxic parent, right? Very domineering, very attention seeking, and then you have somebody else that is enabling the behavior. Wherever you find a narcissist, you will find an enabler. Wherever you find an abuser, you will find a victim. That's the disorder. That's the dysfunction. All of this is dysfunctional. The narcissist is dysfunctional. So is the enabler. The golden child is dysfunctional. The scapegoat is dysfunctional. The lost child is dysfunctional. All of this is exploitation. None of it is healthy. Again, what you're looking at here from a color perspective is the bottom of the consciousness ladder. And this is why we must get the courage to walk away and create healthier family systems. Yeah, PU made a good comment right there, replying back to Kenneth, saying they sleep with anyone, they just need validation because that's what the entity wants. So again, just to bring it home again, narcissists are not human beings. You're dealing with possessed people. Pathological narcissists are possessed. Use any names for these malevolent spirits that you. So you're dealing with an entity that needs energy. You're dealing with an entity that needs energy. Every single day, a pathological narcissist wakes up, they need supply. Every single day, a mosquito wakes up, the mosquito knows it needs someone to bite. So if you're dealing with an energy vampire, and pathological narcissists are energy vampires, when they drain you of your energy, they just run off to find somebody else. You see, when the mosquito bites me, the mosquito does not love me. The mosquito needs someone to bite. And if the mosquito goes over there and bites you, the mosquito does not love you. It's just trying to find supply. It's no deeper than that. And this is why you shouldn't. When narcissists say things out of their mouth, you have to add discernment. You're dealing with an addict. Supply. They will sleep with he, she, or the old lady. That is what you're dealing with. Narcissists love nobody because they don't have love to give. And Wild Honey writes, are narcissists misogynists? Narcissists hate humanity. Pathological narcissists are rooted in shame. They hate humanity. Demons, the devil, Satan, El Diablo, filled with pride. Hate humanity, shame, filled with pride. That's all she wrote. So narcissists hate everybody because they have hate to give. Hate is what you will find at the bottom of the consciousness ladder. They don't have love to give. You cannot love a demon cannot love you back. Narcissists hate the dog, they hate the cat, they hate the sunshine, they hate the rain. They hate. They're haters because it's a hating spirit. It's a hating spirit. It's a hating spirit. That's it. That's what you'll find down there in hell. Hate, envy, disdain, control. That is the vibration. And PU writes that narcissists are not choosy about genders as long as they're getting attention. Yeah, it's just about attention. It's not about the person. Narcissists want supply, and they'll get supply from whoever they need to get it from. It's not that deep. The person could be purple, pink, blue, black, white, yellow, green. They could be an alien species. As long as you're getting attention, that's the entity. It feeds. It feeds. That is all it's doing. When the mosquito is flying around, the mosquito just says, who can I bite right now? It doesn't care if it bites a man or bites a woman. It just wants to bite. It could go bite a cow. It needs to bite. That's the entity. And that is why you shouldn't believe everything that the narcissist says. You have to add a discernment. It's an entity. It's a spirit that is talking to you that is not human. So you shouldn't treat it like a human being because it's not a human being. It's an entity. Narcissists, again, people are hypersexual. Hypersexuality is not a sexual orientation. It's a sexual dysfunction. It's a sexual disorder because we're talking about a pathology. So that's why you see them sleeping around. It's that whole spirit. It's a succubus or incubus demon. It's a demon. That's what you're dealing with. That's what you were dealing with on day 0. Not halfway into the relationship or at the end. You were talking to that succubus on day 0, or incubus or Jezebel or whatever name you want to call the demons. Number 4, spirit spouses, spirit husbands. Those are the attachments that either you develop or the narcissist has in the spirit realm. So understand that narcissists have spirit spouses, and that is why you cannot get married to them. All right. Here's a narcissist, and you're trying to get married to the narcissist. Or again, this is the intimate relationship. But what you don't know is that narcissists are already married off in the spirit realm. You're already married in the spirit realm. So when you come in the physical realm, you cannot get into a relationship with them. They're already married. They already have a spirit spouse. It's those malevolent entities that have dibs on their soul. This is why when we come in and trying to love them, we cannot love them. They're already married. They already have a spirit husband or a spirit wife. And oftentimes it is that spirit wife or spirit husband, it is that demon that is attacking you in the relationship because the demon is saying, go away, leave me and the narcissist alone. That's a spirit husband. That is number 4 on the list. Leisha Leggins writes, narcissistic neuroticism is when they have empathy towards pets but not people. Does this really exist? Okay, so note that narcissists don't love their pets. What they do like is if the pets give them supply, but they don't really care for pets. It's not true empathy, all right? It's not true loving, caring empathy. Narcissists do not love animals, whether that's the human animal or non-human animals. It's not true love. What they like is the attention that they get from the pets. That is what you're determining or seeing as empathy. It's attention. And again, they need attention because demons feed on chi, on light. And we are the ones that are generating this light. Forsaken one, right? Is there anything at all that can be done about negative karma? I didn't know all that stuff about demons back then. Okay. So yeah, when it comes to negative karma, right? Our CPTSD, our CPTSD is negative karma. Let me try to find the slide here. Right? Our CPTSD that we went through, everybody, is negative karma, right? So know that in what it is you're doing is you're alchemizing that negative karma into positive, right? Because it's just the karma is cause and effect, right? So what we have to do is heal and address our childhood wounds and become aware again that these light thieves exist and how to protect ourselves. But know that as you continue, number one, forgive yourself. That's the first thing. Forgive yourself for not knowing. A lot of us didn't know that these creatures existed. We were blindsided when we were attacked, right? But as you continue to work through your childhood trauma of neglect, abandonment, all of these different things that happen, you will see where you're going to be in a more healthier state. And this is where you want to manifest from. Because when you're in a healthy state and you manifest, you get a healthy person, right? When we're in a more unhealed state, and again, is we didn't know, but when we're in this unhealed state and we reached out, we manifested a narcissist. And this is what put us in victim abuser consciousness. So know that again, that the karma takes some time to work out with just being aware and working towards properly healing. And again, everybody know that to properly heal from narcissistic abuse, it's going to take some time, right? So once you disengage from that main narcissist, eventually you have to address the childhood trauma that this maladaptive attachment in the first place. You have to get to the roots of the childhood trauma to get to the bottom of this. Our childhood trauma of how we were brought up, right? Being any emotional neglect that happened, that pushed us into these toxic entanglements. And again, we're gonna have to raise our spiritual discernment. We're gonna have to raise our mental capacity. We're gonna have to be more emotionally intelligent, right? We're gonna have to be more financially conscious because these people came in, and again, our boundaries were not, up to par, and our boundaries got broken down. So it's gonna take some time to develop these boundaries and so on. And oftentimes, what you will see is that it takes, at minimum, not saying that you're not going to experience any benefits, but anybody that properly healed from narcissistic abuse, right? And what I mean by that is you know how to navigate. You know the toxic people, you kind of know how to, bypass them, you know how to protect yourself and so on. That is going to take 18 to 24 months. And here's why. Let's say you disengage from the main narcissist that you were married to, right? You see, right after that, you're getting the results of that narcissist. But you still, again, have not addressed the childhood trauma. It's going to take time to address childhood trauma because, first of all, you have to see the trauma. You have to become aware of it, right? So now you're going to those developmental years in your 2s to 12s to figure out what happened in my foundation that I ended up in this toxic entanglement. And that takes time. So you're going to be feeling the effects. You could break up with a narcissist today and feel better tomorrow. Yes. But that does not mean that you know how to discern the spirit. It takes time to learn discernment. And again, we had fractures in our foundation that is going to take some time to heal, right? So again, know that CPTSD, everybody, takes time to heal because our nervous systems were so off. It's going to take time to heal it because it didn't take one day for a nervous system to be off. It took years. And oftentimes you will see where it's going to take approximately 18 to 24 months to really be in that good space. And you know how to navigate, right? You know how to identify the narcissist and these toxic people, and you know how to protect yourself. And your nervous system is getting more regulated and so on. That takes time, right? So find a good coach, a therapist, a counselor, healer, again, different titles, but talk to someone that understands somatic healing, right? Childhood abandonment, these narcissistic dysfunctional family system, cluster Bs, right? Ascension and so on. And as you continue to address the trauma, then it will heal. But if you don't address the trauma, there will be no healing. Because spiritual trauma or psychic trauma is just like a physical wound. And if somebody, got a wound and, they need the antibiotics, they have to wrap it up and, they have to inspect the wound over time to make sure that it heals. And it's the same thing with narcissistic abuse because it's karmic trauma, right? It's astral trauma. It's spiritual, it's mental, right? It's psychological, it's emotional, and we can't see it. And because of that, it's going to take time to address the unseen realm so that, in the physical realm, we are going to be acting within our sane self. Because again, it is getting the courage to ascend and staying in that vibration that keeps us out of harm's way. If we entangle with a narcissist, it is because we lowered our vibration. Let me say that again. If there is an entanglement with a pathological narcissist, it is because we lowered our vibration. We lowered our standards. That is why we ended up in victim abuser consciousness. And that is why today we must get the courage to ascend and find others that are emotionally mature, that are emotionally stable. Because you don't find people with personality disorders at the top of the consciousness ladder. You do not find people with personality disorders at the top of the Hawkins scale. They don't exist there. You find people with disorders and these cyclical behaviors in the unconscious realm at the bottom of the consciousness ladder. So know that if you do need help, you could book a one-on-one session with me, or consider joining the Master Your Energy group coaching program where we meet weekly. And again, we'll work through all of this trauma because again, you should not be going through a narcissistic relationship after relationship after relationship after relationship. If that's the pattern, then it is that you or I, because I was in this situation, right? It is that you're not seeing something. There's something that you don't know. All right. So besides the YouTube videos, again, know that there has to be healing outside of these videos, right? Where you have to address those internal wounds, our internal deficit again, that pushed us into these entanglements because both of us came out of the narcissistic dysfunctional family system. And it's going to take some time to truly address the complex PTSD to get out of that situation. And shout outs to Michaela Wilson coming in. Hey there. All right, so I'm going to read it here by Forsaken One. Let me bring up back the slide. All right, so Forsaken One writes, my clairvoyance told me my parents' original spirits are in some type of ice dimension sleeping. It also mentioned by the It is also mentioned by the band Evanescence in their Fallen album. What is that realm? So that realm is hell or the third dimension, 1D, 2D, 3D. It's the bottom of the consciousness ladder. That is pathological narcissists are rooted in shame, unable to move past their pride. That is the dimension that they're stuck in. It's hell, purgatory, on the upside down, the sunken place. It's all the same thing. Narcissists are in hell. Every single day they wake up, they're in hell. If you knock on hell's door, we find demons. They're demon possessed. That is where their spirits or original spirits are stuck. Yep, and Alex writes a good message here. With discernment, I can see them everywhere. It's in their tone of voice, it's in their expressions. Yep, you will eventually see them. After a while, you cannot unsee what you've seen. You will know exactly what you're dealing with. And Jay Moshi writes 85 days of no contact. Absolutely. No contact forever. You don't need to, again, if you don't need to deal with these people, cut them off. Blow the bridge up. Blow the bridge up. It's a demon. It's operating in a physical body, yes, but it's a demon. Demons live in hell. Demons feed on chi. Demons feed on chi. That is why they're haunting you, because they feed on light. They need light because they can't generate it on their own. That is what you're dealing with. And Michaela writes, I noticed they can't stay single. Nope, they can't because they need light. They need chi. They need supply. They need to bite someone. They need to feed. So pathological narcissists cannot keep still because they need to go rob Peter to pay Paul. They need supply. So no, they will sleep around. That's a succubus demon. It needs to sleep around. It needs sexual chi. Always need chi. And Alicia Leggins writes, will a replay of this live? Yep. So a replay of this live is going to be on the channel. So when you go on the channel, just click the little live tab and all the previous lives are there. There are like 3 lives and then there's going to be this one after this one ends. So though, if you want to rewatch the lives, everybody, the lives are on the channel. So check the channel page. Yep, narcissists, Alan Carmody writes, narcissists can end up married to each other. They marry each other all the time. But they'll still eventually go out and, cheat and do all of their different, deeds. You have a lesser narcissist with a greater narcissist with a lesser narcissist or a narcissist on a borderline. Sure. Still a dysfunctional relationship. Still a dysfunctional relationship. Again, I'm gonna bring up that spirit slide. Let me bring that slide back up. So while again you're dealing with you think it is a human, they have 2 arms, they have 2 legs. You are dealing with an evil spirit. It is not a human being. And you'll know it is not a human being because it has no humanity. It has no humanity. Jezebel does not like you. The devil does not like you. It does not like me. It does not like light. It does not like love. It is evil. Evil is the inverse of the living. It's the grim reaper spirit. And let's see here. Alex writes a good comment here. So he says, so Alex writes, technically they can replace partners with roommates or close friends because they still need that energy. My BPD roommate used me as a nervous system regulator for energy. Yeah, they use everybody for energy. If it's like a narcissistic boss, they're using the different employees. Again, co-workers will use co-workers. Parent, the narc parent will use the children. They use everybody because again, they cannot regulate their emotions on their own internally, so they have to use the external world. And this is why they gaslight you and they poke you and they taunt you, because they believe in their demented minds when they control you, it helps them. That's a disorder, because again, they cannot regulate their energy within because they don't have a self. And all it is then is the ego trying to get supply. You're dealing with an ego. Behind that ego is a malevolent spirit, a dark spirit, ancient evil spirits. That is what you're dealing with. And Wild Honey writes, thank you, NarcDojo, for all your great wisdom. Many psychologists refuse to acknowledge this part of the study with narcissism. And we could probably even have a live just about that, but people know the reason why psychologists can't really get into this deep spiritual information with you is because psychologists study psyche. Most psychologists are not spiritualists. They don't understand the spirit realm because that is not what they study. So they'll tell you about the psyche, they'll tell you about the mind, they'll tell you about the emotions, and it's that's it. So that's what they study. Psychologists study psyche, the study of the mind, the will, and the emotion. And what I'm talking about here is an evil spirit. And spirit is who we are at our core. Because we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. And in this physical experience, we use the psyche as a tool. So the reason why psychologists, can't get into this depth of the information that we're talking about here is simply because they have not opened their spiritual eyes. They're still stuck in the 3D, unaware of the spirit realm. So again, psychologists study psyche. What we're talking about here is spirit. So to understand spirit, then you're in the realm of the sangomas, shamans, healers, priests, clairvoyants, claircognizant, telepathic people, psychic abilities. We've stepped behind the realm of the psyche when we stepped into spirit. And that is why you can't, you don't go to psychologists for spirit information. You have to be very vigilant about that. But, if you need help psychologically, sure, that's where psychiatrists or psychologists come in. All right, so we'll wrap up towards 1:30 p.m. EST. So in the next, 8 minutes or so, if you have any more questions, toss them out there. I'll plug away at them as best as I can. And thank you everybody for showing up. Today was a really insightful live. So I hope you are enjoying yourself as I'm enjoying teaching on this live. And let me show my slide. You see that comment? Local Sage writes, is the avoidant personality type who still seems to have a conscience on the lower end of the narcissistic spectrum. Is the avoidant personality type who still seems to have a conscience on the lower end of the narcissistic spectrum? Okay, good question. So anybody that has drifted away from spirit will behave in an unconscious manner, right? So anybody that is unconscious, really, yourself included, if you get stuck in that state, you're going to be on the bottom of the consciousness ladder, right? So narcissists are there along with borderline, psychopath, sociopath, etc., etc., etc. Wherever you see somebody going around in circle, that means that they're unconscious. And again, we're more so talking about people here with personality disorders that are stuck, keyword stuck. Because again, if you feel anger, that's okay. Because you could stop feeling anger and then, get into a state of love. But when you see people with mood disorders, personality disorders, or these spiritual deficits, they have energies at the bottom of the consciousness ladder that they need to work out. And until they have worked out these energies, they cannot ascend because it's too much baggage, right? So the person with avoidant personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, etc., has too much baggage. And because they have too much baggage, then they cannot ascend until that baggage is dealt with. Because in order to ascend, we have to let go of a lower level emotion to get to a higher ground. Just like a rocket going into space, right? When the rocket is going up and the rocket, pops off a piece, and then it goes up a little bit more, then it drops off another piece because it needs to get lighter as it ascends. So if somebody is stuck in a dysregulated mood, they're at the bottom of the consciousness ladder. Again, all it really means is that there's work to be done. Now, whether that person is going to do the work that needs to be done, that's a completely separate question. But again, anybody with a pathological personality disorder are unconscious. Because if they were conscious, they wouldn't have a personality disorder. That's how you know. You don't find conscious people stuck at the bottom of the consciousness ladder. Because if you're conscious, you ascend. You learn and grow. But again, for pathological narcissists, they cannot self-reflect. And since they cannot self-reflect, they don't grow. That's a disorder. Yep. Wild Honey writes, even if they're not in a physical relationship, they have to be in an emotional relationship. Yep. They're energy vampires, always needing people's energies. They're just going around trying to find supply. And if you are not supplying them, well, they'll go find supply from somebody else. They need supply. Again, the mosquito needs someone to bite. It's a parasite. Needs someone to bite. If it doesn't bite you, it bites the dog, it bites the cat, and it bites the rat. It needs to bite someone. And Michaela writes, I notice these entities always want to act nice, but they're cruel. Yep, that's that mask. Let me to the my original, the original cover here. You're dealing with a trickster spirit. And again, that's that love bomb. It is deceiving you. And it is deceiving you because it wants your light. It wants a reaction out of you because it's feeding on that chi. It is feeding on it because it's a demon. And shout outs to Jackson saying much love. Thanks for the love, Jackson. And thanks everybody again for joining in this live. So hopefully, they're helping to bridge the gap in, maybe you didn't get something explained in a video. You can get that clarified in a live if you're able to join in. And I think Michaela is asking, do narcissists come on the NarcDojo page? Like every now and then I'll see, like one of them in the comments, but not a lot. NarcDojo is not a place for narcissists to congregate, and they won't congregate here because I don't have any energy to give to them. So very rarely do I see a narcissist in the comment. So every now and then they'll comment, but then you have the other ones that like to pop off, in the comment, and I just block them. So no, and NarcDojo is not a place where narcissists come to come together, because I don't have anything to give to them. I don't think they're poor little victims and they need energy. They're not going to get my energy, so they don't come here. Narcissists go where they are fed. I don't feed narcissists. And PU writes, thank you for the free wisdom. You're welcome. And shout out to Norway coming in from the West Coast. Thanks for joining in. And Wild Honey writes, spirituality is the most important part of psychology. Why can't they understand that? Understand that the DSM for anybody, and again, I could probably, I'll probably have to do this in like another live. Why is there a gap between, the DSM and, give me 1 second. I'm going to bring up another slide here really quickly. Why isn't it that the psychologists, why can't they give you, more information that you may need? Because to you, it very well may seem simple. To put this into proper perspective. And again, we can talk about this on another live. Let me go ahead and find, here it is right here. So it's important that you understand that psychology that you know today was created approximately 100 years ago. So they just created it. It's not that old. So it's new. Let me say that again. Psychology that you know today was created approximately 100 years ago. So then you have to ask yourself, what were people doing before 100 years ago, right? So understand that psychologists and psychotherapists that you know today are governed by the American Psychiatric Association, the APA. There's nothing in the DSM that has anything to do with spirit. Why? Because if it had anything to do with spirit, then they would be governed by the American Spiritual Association. Nothing to do with spirit. Why? Because psychology is the study of the psyche. It is the study of the mind, the will, and the emotions from the external world. Why? Because most psychologists are not spiritual people. They're not spiritually gifted. Psychology was not created by spiritually gifted people. I sincerely hope that you understand that. So I don't think, and you have to ask yourself, why would they? Psychologists are there to address these symptoms that come out of the spirit realm. And when you're looking at the cover, again, this is where most of these illnesses are coming out of. It tells you that it's the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Disorders, not spiritual disorders. And the reason why they can't see it is because they're not seers. They can't see. They don't have their spiritual eyes. And this is why you have to discern. And again, we'll talk more about the DSM and all of that. But again, know that psychiatry that you know, everybody, was created approximately 100 years ago. It's not that deep. It can't be that deep because they just created it. It's a construct. And this is why if you're seeing a therapist right now, know that a therapist is a great asset, but you should be very mindful of spewing spiritual information to a psychotherapist because they'll think you're crazy. They'll think you are the one with the psychosis if you go in there telling them that you're seeing spirits and feeling all these energies. It doesn't exist in the DSM because it's not supposed to. It's not supposed to. America was not created out of spirituality. America was not created off of spirituality. It wasn't. But again, that's why, again, if you're looking for spiritual advice, speak spiritual counseling from someone that is connected to the spirit realm. So let me bring up back the consciousness chart, and again, truly understanding who you are in under physical experience. Then understand that psychologists, and again, they tell you in their name. They tell you in their name what they do. So when you look at psyche, then psyche is the realm of the mind, the will, and the emotions. That's psyche. Spirit is something else. To understand spirit, you're talking about healers, shamans, sangomas, etc. Two completely different realms. All right, good people. So thank you all for showing up today for another live. Again, stay tuned to the channel to see when I'm going to be coming out with the next one. So I'll probably do like a weekend live, people at the end of the week. Maybe some people are more free on a Saturday. And again, leave comments on the different videos and so on. I'll do other topics in these lives. But this is how I can kind of address more people altogether. But again, know that when you're fighting spiritual warfare, while you have your physical eyes open, you also need to open your spiritual eyes. That is what you're really looking for. And again, for one-on-one coaching or group coaching, go ahead and check out the narcdojo.com website. If you haven't already, check out the NARC 101 course. Again, a free 3-hour course where I break down most of what you need to know. So if you like the videos on the channel, you like the NARC 101 course. Again, it's organized in a course format. Again, all available on narcdojo.com. So again, be aware. Number one rule, know thyself and be aware that they walk amongst us. The malevolent spirits, Jezebel, Nephilim, demon, Wetico, Delilah spirit, use any name that you want to call them. That's a demon, right? And a demon is an evil spirit. And when you're dealing with evil, evil does not want your love. Evil wants to control you. And that is why you have to discern what you're dealing with and safely make your exit. Safely make your exit and protect yourself, again, depending on what your exact situation is. So if I didn't get your question in this live, again, leave it on in the comment section or catch another live, right? To ensure that if you haven't already, ensure that you are subscribed to the channel to see when the next lives are coming out. Alrighty, so thank you everybody. Thank you, Wild Honey. Shout outs to Alex, Alan Carmody, Another Day. I don't think I saw that name before. So shout out to Another Day, Firmament, Beauty and Pablo, Artist, Leisha Leggins, PU, Forsaken One, Michaela. So thank you again, everybody, for coming in. All right, Kenneth, shout outs to Kenneth, shout outs to Jackson. So thank you again, everybody, for coming in, and I'll see you in the next live session. So ensure that you are subscribed to the channel. And again, if you need personal one-on-one help, go ahead and check out all of that on the narcdojo.com website. I do worldwide coaching. Doesn't matter where you are. Just click the link, book a session, and I can help you in that way. All right, good people. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Take very good care of yourself. Stay aware, stay vigilant so that you can be aware of the narcissist in your perimeter. All right, good people. See you in the next live.